Dajahao, buongiorno, sziasztok. Hello everybody. The idea for this talk came to be when I took my exchange year in Taiwan to learn Taiwanese Chinese. And now we can currently speak it to a medium intermediate level. Last year, I ventured into learning Italian via different apps and websites while being self-taught. And I'm still thinking of learning more languages as time goes on. Learning languages has taught me many valuable lessons. It has taught me how to interact with people, how people interact with me, how to talk to them better, as well as giving me a mental agility to switch between the languages very quickly. Today, I'd like to change the preconceived notions you might have associated with learning languages, as well as what you can achieve with them. So, first things first, I'd like you to take those preconceived notions you have about languages and throw them out. Learning a language is not done inside a class, only inside a classroom, four walls, memorizing conjugation tables and grammar rules since day number one. It can be done in a plethora of fun and dynamic ways. You can text on your phone, you can read books, watch movies, you can listen to music. You can also talk with natives and even play video games at a certain point and be better. For this, most linguists would recommend that you start only by listening instead of focusing on reading or writing, very similar to the way babies start learning a language when they are born. You can do this by having a series, a movie, or a video you like in your target language, of course, listening to it consciously, and the subtitles in your native language. What this does is that it gets your ears and your brain accustomed to the way the language sounds, how fast people talk it, as well as, maybe you can pick up some slang words, some pronunciation, and overall, just in general, get your ears accustomed. So, as you're doing this, you can also pair it up with some apps. Some well-known ones are Duolingo, an app called Lingo Deer, programs like Pimsleur, or you can do your own research online. The possibilities are endless. There's a lot of good programs. I was saying the known ones. So that's good enough. Learning languages by watching movies and using apps. You can get a good understanding, but it cannot take you from absolute beginner to being able to talk with a native. The step afterwards is to start speaking. to start speaking. So you can do this with a friend, with a tutor, a family member, a native speaker, and in this day and age, you can find anyone. With apps like Facebook and internet forums, it's way easier to find people to talk to and to practice with. So when you talk in your target language, what it does to your brain is that it makes it think faster. It makes it get an agility to think on the fly, make sentences on the fly. And in general, overall, just make sentences better. As you're listening to the words, comprehending the words, and thinking the right words to say or phrase. And hey, if you're a shy person, you can loosen up, you can talk to more people, and lose that fear of talking to new people, as a big part of language learning is just communicating. So something that interests me a lot when learning a new language is finding similarities between the ones I know and the ones I am learning. So as an example, when I was learning Italian, I couldn't help but find many similarities between Spanish, Italian, and English. Let's say the word in Italian, complimento. As a Spanish speaker, I'm thinking of complemento, and as an English speaker, compliment. The interesting here is that in Spanish and Italian, it's kind of understandable. They're both from the same language, both Romance languages come from Latin. They have very similar sentence structure and pronunciation. With English, it's interesting, as it is a Germanic language, similar to German, Dutch, Norwegian, Danish. And it shares many similarities with Romance languages. So many of the terms we use for food today, as an example, beef, pork, banquet, they all come from French. And even many fancy words we use right now, like very specific terms, also come from French or Latin. As a matter of fact, let me tell you, around half of modern English's vocabulary comes from both French and Latin, and that's amazing. That surprised me when I read about it. So when you're entering English, you're finding yourself in a language with many roots in it, with many language families in it. As linguist John McWhorter talks about in his book, Our Magnificent Bastard Tongue, The Untold History of English, English has seen many changes over its time. It has had many cultures influence it and changed how the language is. Let's say Norwegian and Danish culture, French culture, and even has had Latin words for scientific terms. So what happens is that when you enter English, be it as a native speaker, somebody that can speak it very well, or you're still learning or wanting to start learning, then you're finding yourself in a language with many cultures, many roots in it. Words from Germanic languages, Romance languages, even Arabic words. So there's a big diversity. Now, learning a language is not something easy, not something that you can do from night to morning. It's something that takes time and dedication, just as every other skill does. But not every language is built the same. Some languages are harder than others. So the Foreign Service Institute categorizes languages into 4 different categories, 1 being the easiest and 4 being the hardest. Category 1 are the languages most similar to English. So these ones include Norwegian, Dutch, Portuguese, Spanish, French, and they take around 24 to 30 weeks to learn. Category 2 languages include languages like German and Swahili, and they take around 36 weeks to learn. Category 3 languages have languages like Russian, if not most Slavic languages, Greek, and Turkish, and they take around 44 weeks to learn. And Category 4 languages, considered some of the hardest ones, have some languages like Chinese, both Mandarin and Cantonese, Japanese, Korean, and Arabic, and they take around 88 weeks to learn. Now, this might seem daunting at first, I know, especially if you want to learn a Category 4 language, but it will just take you the same amount of struggle. It's just a different amount of time. And what I'm meaning is, the hard thing is that you need to be consistent. That's the key in both languages and life, being consistent and loving what you're doing. So let's say you might want to learn Japanese. Maybe you want to travel there, work there, live there. Maybe you like anime, or there's a Japanese girl or boy you want to impress. I don't know. So you're very excited about learning Japanese, but maybe somebody in your family tells you, why would you speak that? Why it's not that used here? And maybe you're saying to yourself, well, I might get critiqued, my family might think something, and you might have your own doubts. But if you learn a language that you love, it's going to be a fun experience. If you learn one that you do not love, you do not enjoy, it's going to be dull, it's going to be a chore, a boring process. That motivation is the spark that can get you going. Is that little thing that can just get you being more motivated. Maybe someday you want to learn about the cuisine, another day about the culture, a certain event that happens in some time. The possibilities are big when you are learning a new language that you love. Now, I have not talked about the benefits yet, and that's because those are the last things you might find. So some very obvious ones are, you can live abroad, work abroad, and travel abroad very easily. But some not so known ones, let's say medical benefits. If you're thinking about the long run, if you're someone older still trying to learn a language, then it's perfect. You can delay diseases like Alzheimer's and senile dementia. If you're younger, a student, well, learning a language helps with your cognitive capacity. It helps you remember things better, increases your memory as you're always honing your skill, always honing your language. You're always learning new words, new phrases, so you're always trying to keep it up. Now, another benefit is that you become more international. Your mentality becomes more worldwide. So you can listen to music and understand it, watch movies from that country. You can talk to natives. You can even read the news and get a sense of news abroad outside your country. And at a certain point, you get invested in the culture that you love, that you enjoy. So everybody has got their own spark. And that brings me to my last benefit, my own spark, which is the people. When you talk to someone in their native language, it's a different conversation. They can express themselves better, more comfortably, like if you were somebody at home. There have been countless friendships that have arisen because I've been able to talk with them in a native language, even if I can just say a few words. And honestly, that's as I said, my motivation to learn new languages, the people I can meet, my friends. Now, learning a language is not a skill God gives you. It's not that before you're born a higher figure says, you can learn a language, you cannot learn a language, you can only learn this language or that language. It's something that you hone over time. There's no cheat codes, no magic wand. There's not anything that can make you learn it from night to morning. It takes time. So you can even do it right now. But please wait a minute, I have not finished my talk yet. So many sources have inspired me to do this talk. Polyglots like Steve Kaufman and YouTubers like Ikena, both of which I strongly recommend you check out if you want to learn more about how learning a language is, what you can achieve, and more information about how they manage speaking so many languages. So before I go, I'd like to leave you with a phrase that has marked me since I started learning languages. When you talk to somebody in a second language, you're talking to their brain. But when you talk to them in their native language, you talk to their heart directly at it, and that's beautiful, really. So what are you waiting for? You can start learning a language right now and enter a new culture by connecting with people. 祝你今天愉快. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day. Goodbye.